look up the definition of a limiting belief and familiarize yourself with it and minimize those limiting beliefs as best as you can early on in your career. Man, how y'all are? Comment ça va? Woodhead Pat here. Pat Barnard, officially. I've been a real estate agent for about 4 years now. So I got into real estate late in life, in my opinion. I was in the restaurant and bar industry for about 10 years throughout college and a couple of years after college as well. Before that, I was told by several people my entire life that I was born to be a salesman. And so the last position or the last job that I held was not very purposeful. I had no sense of purpose. And so I had to come up with a plan B. And I knew that sales was for me. I had a couple of friends in the real estate industry. And so I decided to get into the world of real estate. So the culture here at KW is like none I've ever experienced before. A perfect example of that is my son is actually a double cancer survivor. We battled the first time before I was in real estate, and the second time when his cancer relapsed, our assistant team leader at the time, Wes Stoneker, got wind of the news that my son had relapsed, and he dropped every single thing that he was doing right at that moment, and he drove to my house and he chatted with me in the street about a game plan for my business, about my family, and it was just an experience that I'll never forget. We ended it with a massive hug, and I think that's just the perfect example of the KW culture. So my advice to a new agent would be, first of all, to come to Keller Williams, right? We are third in training in the country, not in real estate training, in training in general, right? That says a lot about this company. So as a new agent, we have too many tools to count almost that are gonna help you get started in your career in real estate. And the other thing that I would advise new agents to do is to look up the definition of a limiting belief and familiarize yourself with it and minimize those limiting beliefs as best as you can early on in your career. So obviously we don't all start out as top producers. I think that the leadership team here is second to none. Honestly, I would put them up against any leadership team of any company, anywheres. Without the leadership team here and their guidance, I don't think that I would have ever gotten to the top producer status. I know that any day, at any time, I can call anyone on leadership and get some guidance. And I trust that, it may not be the answer that I want, but it's gonna be the answer that I need. And that's very valuable to me. And I don't want to just hear what I want to hear. I want to hear what I need to hear. And I feel that every time I go to the leadership team here, I get that answer. And I think that's what's led to my success in my business and me becoming a top producer. So I think that the most valuable thing for me here at KW is that the people that fill this building and the people that make up this company are the value for me, right? So I can call anyone with any question and get some fantastic guidance. And as a side note or an addition to that conversation, I can get good guidance on life, right? Just life in general, how to on top of how to better my business. So it's not just all about sales, sales, sales. It's about how can you become a better person, and better serve your family and better serve your community. So I think that aspect of Keller Williams brings great value to me, for sure. So as I mentioned earlier, my son is a double cancer survivor. The second go round, we had to relocate him to New Orleans for 6 months. So without being a part of this fantastic organization, Keller Williams, that would have put a massive financial burden on my family in that time of extra need, as you might imagine. But KW has this fantastic branch, if you will, called KW Cares. And in that most time of need for my family, they were able to financially support me, so much to the fact that moving my son to a different city 2 hours away to live there for 6 months cost me exactly this much, exactly $0. So they took care of every single financial need that I had associated with moving to a different city for 6 months. They paid for my rent house. They paid for my gas to get back and forth. They paid for my groceries in the fridge. They paid my utility bills. So I can't, I'm searching for words because it's hard to find some, but I value KW Cares and this company tremendously for that reason. Something unique about myself is that I am right-handed and left-footed. I was the kicker and the punter, and I played soccer, and I'm awful with my right foot and fantastic with my left foot. And I actually broke a school record for the longest field goal um, in my high school's history while I was there.
Awesome. You know that about you.
There you go.